Are you sure you don't?
Don't worry, Jay. Me and Ember got this. We're just picking up food, not teaching ourselves another discipline.
I know.
So why don't you try and relax then? You and Sunshine can hold things down over there while we're out and about over here. After all, wasn't that the point of ordering food?
I suggested we get food because it would have taken longer for me to cook for all of us instead. To which you said you turned to dust if you had to wait much longer to eat.
Okay, in my defense, I kind of forgot the snacks I was going to bring on my counter. But look on the bright side. You've still got the perfect opportunity to take a breather right now.
I understand the sentiment, but I think I'll pass.
Aw, what? Jay, come on. Have you even taken a break since we left?
I'm taking a break to have this phone call with you.
Sunshine, back me up here. See? That's already 2 against 1. Nova, I think they just called our order number. Shit, okay. Is there anything else you want us to grab while we're out?
Not that I can think of. Sunshine?
You got it. I'll let you guys know when we're heading back.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright, and Jay, take a break.
Bye, Nova.
Bye, you two.
What we should do is take a break once I get back with the food. Until then, this is time that should be spent doing work. Need I remind you that the whole point of the four of us meeting up was to get work done. Even Emerson brought along something to occupy their time. Us being alone together should be an incentive to work. Less people means less distractions. At least it can, given the right company. If you think you're capable of distracting me, Sunshine, I will gently remind you that Nova has been my best friend for over 2 years now. I'll have to try a lot harder than that. Did you ever consider that maybe Romeo has a point with what he says then? What do you have to work on anyways? So, by the sound of it, you should be working. I'll believe it when I see it. I've been focusing on finishing up classwork in preparation for my last few finals, but I've also been preparing my track representative application when I can. Is this another distraction tactic, Sunshine? Fine. I'm willing to explain on the condition that you continue studying as I do. We both know as soon as you and Nova are in the same space, your focus is going to steadily decline. And, unlike you, Nova's already done with all her exams. Good. Now, let's see. At the start of every semester, a track representative is chosen out of a pool of potential applicants. There's one for each track, meaning 7 in total. Given the size of the student population and the benefits of having that title on your record, it's a fairly competitive position. People who were awarded the position have gone on to become notable figures in Vivified society. Whether that's in their respective fields of work or in a community sense, it gets you places. If this is going to be my last year at Hive, I need to make it count. That's one of the reasons, yes, but I have others as well. For one, I want to prove to myself that I was skilled enough to become track rep. The application itself takes into consideration various factors: GPA, letters of recommendation, reflective essay, associated organizations or extracurriculars, community involvement, past achievements, and so on. My record speaks for itself, so I'm not worried in that regard. Another big factor as to why I want this position is because it would alleviate the stress of meeting Hive's requirements every semester. Oh, right, I guess you wouldn't have heard about this before. Sorry, I forget that there's still things lost on you sometimes. I'm used to being in your position, usually. Regardless, for those who have their education costs covered by Hive, there's a criteria you're expected to meet every semester. Your grades can't dip too low. There's a minimum number of credits you have to be enrolled in at any given moment. Depending on your track, you have additional assessments of your skills and progress. That's the gist of it, more or less. It sounds simple enough until you don't satisfy one of their requirements. You're given 1 semester to either satisfy the requirements again, or you begin to offset the cost of attendance out of pocket. In the instance you do neither, you're kicked out. In fairness, this isn't a policy unique to Hive. As far as I'm aware, this is considered standard across most Vivified secondary education. Because I learned about it firsthand. I know I carry myself well, but not perfect sunshine, even as much as I'd like to be. It was the 2nd semester of my first year at Hive. When I first started attending, the chance to learn and take courses at no cost to myself seemed unreal. I don't know what it was like for you, but before I was made aware I was vivified, I had attended a university for a few years. Ultimately, I had to withdraw before I could get my degree. Being the first to go to college in my family was difficult, to say the least, and expensive. At a certain point, the amount of debt I was racking up didn't feel worth it anymore. My dads were supportive, but I knew I could have done better. So, when Hive presented the opportunity to deepen my understanding of my magic for free, I was thrilled. I should have known it was too good to be true. I can hear exactly how my dad would have chastised me if he knew what happened. You're supposed to ask as many questions as possible, Linny. Everything has a price, Linny. You shouldn't go into a situation you can't get yourself out of, Linny. Near the end of my 2nd semester at Hive, I failed one of my assessments. It had been centered around suspension of water drawn from the air. Despite some struggling, I did remarkably well. But, based on my score, I had failed by 3 points. I hadn't realized I failed in the first place until my advisor organized a meeting with me a few days before the semester ended. He explained how if I made another mistake like this, I'd have to start paying to continue my education, which wasn't, and still isn't an option for me. By the time the next semester rolled around, I made sure I wouldn't repeat the same mistake, and I've maintained that tenacity since. Hive doesn't advertise it because they know they can draw in more students this way. It has the retention rates to sustain itself regardless. There is a portion of the student body that pays out of pocket, whether they originally had their costs covered or not. It's more manageable if you're only taking a handful of classes or getting a more minor certification in theory. But that's excluding those who are favored by Hive in one way or another. There's obviously legacies, but that's not unique to Vivified society. Plenty of stagnant universities prefer them as well. There's also cases of students receiving invitations to attend rather than apply thanks to personal recommendations. However, Hive favors students based on classification and area of study. If what you are or what you study is considered valuable, they're willing to invest in you. Costs are waived, and you're given as much flexibility as needed to receive certification. In short, they're more concerned with providing Vivified society with what it wants most. Emerson once mentioned that they chose to attend Hive because they received a personal recommendation on behalf of their studies, which I don't doubt seeing all they did prior to graduating. But they would have been guaranteed admission regardless because they're a surveyor. They're always in demand somewhere. In Nova's case, necromancers are so rare that she could have attended any institution she wanted. After all, who wouldn't want to advertise the fact they have a necromancer in attendance? You may be a derivative like me, Sunshine, but you're also on your way to becoming a skilled warder. Warding magic is highly coveted in the Vivified world because of all it can do. Your magic has the potential to provide worthwhile resources, and Hive wants to see that come to fruition. The world already has plenty of derivatives. Hey, don't fall into the trap of thinking this is about who deserves it more. This isn't a blame game where one of us comes out on top. None of this is our fault. It's the system's. And until that system can be changed, all we can do is support each other and do what we can to push through. Don't let Hive convince you otherwise, okay? Regardless, I'm not letting the school stop me from reaching my goals. There hasn't been a track rep who was also considered dormant, and I intend to show them that I have just as much merit as any other vivified person. I appreciate the compliment. I'll work on proving you right in the meantime. Hey, Sunshine, could I ask you something? What made you decide to seek out vivified education? Assuming you had a reason, that is. You got letters from several schools once you moved here? That's interesting. How does Romeo play into you ending up at Hive? Just how much you two care about each other. I didn't mean for it to sound like I'm putting you down or anything. It's just easy to see how close the two of you are. I haven't met Romeo, yet it's obvious you're important to him based on the things you say. Yeah, you bring him up pretty often, I'll admit. But again, not a bad thing. It's fun hearing you talk about him. Really? Well, I hope whatever you've told him about us hasn't left a bad impression. He's mentioned wanting to meet us before? That makes more sense. You know, Nova's gonna be the most excited out of all of us. I don't think she could ever get tired of meeting new people. And also, she's Nova. If you say so. Either way, I look forward to whenever I get to meet this Cupid of yours. We're supposed to be working. You call this multitasking? You haven't touched your notes since Nova and Emerson left. Fine. What are you trying to ask about my Cupid, as you put it? They're an Amarid who works for FACE. Their specific department is disaster response and containment. Their specialty is well suited for that kind of work, and they enjoy using it in that way. We see each other when we can, and usually, my time with them is spent dodging innuendos while they try to pull me from my work. As much as I hate admitting it, I don't mind it. They're always willing to make time for me when I need it, and they keep me from running myself into the ground, even if they have to do so with that smug, pretty face of theirs. Yeah, they mean a lot to me, even if we're just in each other's lives right now. You're reading too much into my words. Yes, you are. And, lucky for us both, those two are back. I am not avoiding your question. What I want is complicated, and I can live with what the two of us have now.
Jay, come on. I'm ready to eat already.
Look, I answered your question, Sunshine. Now, do you mind clearing the table so we can all eat? Thank you. Did I send enough money to cover everything?
For the third time, yes, Jay. Now move over so I can go inside and eat.
I'm the only reason they didn't tear into anything on the drive over.
Which was rude, if you ask me.
I'm not surprised in the slightest.